Hey guys, today I'm going to be working in my shop. I've got a router here. I need to make a circle cutting jig for this. I need to be able to cut some circle holes for the next couple projects I'm going to be working on. Alright, so I've sketched out my plans. Right here I will mount the router on the bigger end, and those 4 holes right there I'll be able to screw the router on there. Right here is a sled, and this will be able to slide up and down. And right here I sketched out the plans for this sled. It'll have a knob on the top to tighten it down, and a pin that you'll be able to set the diameter for the circle. And all I have to do is drill a hole for the pin and then just rotate the router and make a perfect circle. So right here I have the plate for at the bottom of my router. I'm going to use this to mark the size that I need the circle cutting jig to be able to mount my router, as well as this is the only other thing I need other than just a couple of pieces of scrap wood. I went to the store and just grabbed a plastic knob to be able to tighten down on my jig, as well as a bolt to come up from the bottom. And this is pretty simple. Everything else will just be what's already in my shop. So now I've got the outline of my jig cut out and all sanded down. Now I need to drill this hole out. This paddle bit is the closest size that I have to this router plate, so this should work just fine because most of the bits I'll be using in this router jig are going to be smaller than this hole I'm drilling now. So something I realized as I was looking at this, I will need to create some sort of jig. In order to create this jig, I need something that will allow me to run the router across, something with a rail on it to hold the router nice and straight so I can cut the groove for the sled to slide up and down freely. So I took a couple scraps of wood and have that bottom one the same distance across as my router, and screw down a fence. That way I can keep the router up tight against that, and that will give me a straight line across. And I'm just going to cut a slit down into this wood just so I can kind of gauge where this bit is going to be, and I can line up my board according to that line. This jig actually worked really well. I probably will want to make a couple modifications to it if I want to use it in the future, but it was awesome. So I'll just keep that on the side and probably end up using it again. Alright, so here's the finished piece of wood for my jig today. I need to make a little piece of wood that will slide down inside this groove, and that way you can set the diameter of your circle and then use the jig and spin it around. So I've mounted the knob, that way I can tighten down the sled and it won't move, and that'll keep the jig stable. Next I'll be adding in the pin that will hold the jig in place as it rotates. For this I'm just going to be using a normal nail. I'll need to drill a hole through this wood so it doesn't split. Sorry it's off camera, but right now I'm just tracing the holes that I need to drill in order to mount the router to the jig. So here's the finished router jig. I've got it mounted to my router and it's completely adjustable. Just loosen that knob, tighten it down, and all you have to do is just drill a little tiny pilot hole for that nail to go into, and that holds it in the same spot, kind of like a compass, and then you can just spin the router around in a circle and the pin will hold it in place. Now to start, I'm just going to take a measurement of what I need the hole cut out at, and it looks like it's going to be a little over 4 inches, but I want it a little less than that because I want this bowl to set down in a piece of wood. So it's about 4 3/8. Half of that is what this diameter needs to be. So I'll take 2 3/4 would be 3/16, or 3/8 would be 3/16. Alright, so 2 3/16 is about right. Right about there. I'm going to do it a little bit less this first time. Alright, let's test it out. Alright, I think that worked super well. I'm excited to try this out for a couple of projects coming up, and that is about the smallest this will do. It probably will go down about 1 inch less, but it bottoms out right there, and I'm guessing close to 3 inches. Let's see. Have 4, like 3 3/4 the smallest this will go. I could have fixed this by adding a little bit longer of a piece, because I have quite a bit of space still left in between this and the bit, so I might be able to make another one of these sleds if I have to make a smaller hole. But if I get much smaller than 3-4 inches, you know, I can just use a hole saw. That'll be a lot easier. But for these bigger sections like this, where I need to have a bigger hole, like for this bowl or something to set in, that's perfect for what I need, and I'm really happy with that. So here's my finished router jig. Absolutely love it. Came out really well. Perfect circles and adjustable any size you need. Right now the diameter is 2 feet is the max diameter, and 4 inches is the lowest it can go. It works really well. I'm super happy with it, and I've been needing one of these for a while. You can't just go out and buy a hole saw whenever you need a circle, and a jigsaw can only get so perfect. This is a lot easier than trying to do it by hand. I made a little bit notch in here just because the last pass I wasn't really thinking about much, but as soon as this circle is loose in there, that hole right there is the only thing holding the router steady and in the perfect circle. So as soon as it broke free, I notched the side a little bit. So you just gotta be careful. That last pass, you just gotta go slow right towards the end and make sure you don't bump anything around the edges. Absolutely love this. Only spent $3 on this for this knob and bolt to adjust the diameter, and it works really well. I'm glad I used the knob just because it's easy to grab. You could use just a bolt in your shop and maybe a wing nut or just regular nut on there and not have to spend any money, just use scrap wood like I did. I have seen some people use some plexiglass, and I mean, that's nice. You can see through it and see what you're working on. But I didn't want to go out and buy any plexiglass just for this project. It was a lot cheaper just to use scrap wood. And I really like the thickness and heaviness of this wood, just because, you know, all you do is basically set it down on the piece of wood and spin it around, and that weight actually helps hold the router steady, doesn't jiggle around or shake, and it keeps it really smooth. So I actually like the thickness of this plywood. I don't think I would go much lower than that. Just because of the strength and also that extra weight added to it to actually help make a better circle. Alright guys, I hope you guys found this interesting or helpful. I really think this is a great project for just about anybody that has a shop and a router to make. It opens up a lot of new possibilities. It'll be fun to explore with this and see what else I can make with this circle jig and how it will save time and be able to make some better designs. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Here's a couple close-up images of my router jig. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button down below. Also on the screen up to the left, right there, you can subscribe just by clicking on that, and you'll get a notification when I upload new videos. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos over to the right and see what else I've built. Thanks again guys, I'll see you in the next one.